And
Yeah.
it sounds like you've been through that. So like, talk to me the point where you realized that there was another way of doing things. What was the point where you'd had enough, or where somebody showed you there was a better way?
I don't know that there was one single moment. I call it the series of unfortunate events that then just came to a head, right? The first moment that I can recall was going into my client site and feeling really nauseous on the metro ride in DC. We get off at Pentagon Station and I walk out of the metro. I'm walking towards the building and I notice this nausea that overcomes me. And I think, oh, it's just the metro ride. Pretty rough ride today. But the next day it comes back. And then this time I'm tuning in because as a mindfulness practitioner, I've learned to pay attention to the conversation that my body has with me. The body never lies. So I'm noticing and I notice, my gosh, as I approach the building, the closer I get, the more intense the nausea becomes. I press floor 7 on the elevator. The elevator is going up, and my gosh, the closer it gets to floor 7, the more intense the nausea becomes. I say, my goodness, we got to have a conversation, body. Like, what are you trying to tell me? So I go into the bathroom. I place my hands on the counter. I stare at myself in the mirror because now I know that our eyes are a window into our soul. And I know that I now have to have a conversation with what's happening right now in my body. And I hear this voice that I don't think I could have managed in that moment to hear what it had to say. I didn't want to hear what it had to say because what I heard back from this voice was, "You are not supposed to be here." And I couldn't make sense of that message in that moment. You're not, what do you mean I'm not supposed to be here? I've spent the last 7 or 8 years building this life, building this career, building this team, building this. I've been building this for years. How do I walk away from this? So I did what I think most people do. I silenced the noise. I silenced the voice. But I've come to learn, Paul, that if we don't hear the whispers, we be forced to hear the screams. And life gifted me with a series of screams in the form of a gunpoint robbery that I confronted my mortality and had to ask myself, what is this life that I'm living? And if I had died in that moment, would I have lived a life that I'm proud of? What would people say about the impact that I've had on their lives? They're going to remember me as that workaholic that was never present with them. And the gunpoint robbery, losing my cousin, the panic attack, losing a best friend, all of those things happening in a series of 9 months. I went into my therapist's office, and when he asked me the question, "What has brought you here?" I said, "Life is shaking me, and I keep looking up saying, I'm listening. What am I missing? And I need you to help me decode. What am I missing?
Yeah.
Because I don't get it, but life is shaking me." And that was my breaking point. I could not, it was obvious that I was being shaken to my core and that something fundamentally had to change. I had no choice but to. And I think there are many people who ignore those signals, who ignore those signs. And then life shakes us to our core.